Proud of Tom tonight. So what Tom is asking about, and let me give you a little background, is he's talking about a project that's called Lake Point. It's a water storage project up in Morton County. What's being discussed, or what he is asking about, is what do I feel about it? Here we have a number of options on the table in terms of getting water or having access to water or places to store our water. Right now our water is stored out in a place called Grassy Waters out by North Lake Boulevard. If you haven't been there, it's a beautiful place. I suggest you go have a look. It's very, very beautiful, and it's something to behold. However, what happens in the case of a drought like we had a few years ago, or recently, is there wasn't enough water there for the city to maintain our water supply. So the city has undertaken looking at a variety of different options, and one of them is this project up in Martin County that was being proposed, where they had some rock pits that what they want to do is they want to take water from Lake Okeechobee and put it into the rock pits, and then they would deliver that water to us. But it wouldn't be for free. They want to take the free water from Lake Okeechobee and then sell it back to the city of West Palm Beach. What their proposal talks about is that the cost of that water is going to be about $1.25 per 1,000 gallons. Now, if you don't know, our current cost for water is about 3 cents per 1,000 gallons. The other thing that we need to know about the Lake Point project is that the water is going to travel in an open canal from Martin County down to West Palm Beach. And the experts, they believe that we'll lose anywhere from 30 to 40% of that water through evaporation and seepage. So the ultimate cost of water is around $1.60 per 1,000 gallons. Now, it's expensive, but obviously if you need water, you have to have it. But I want to do things in a more cost-effective way with a higher benefit. And what's also being proposed, though, is this opportunity to take water from Indian Trails. Literally, Indian Trails literally flushes billions of gallons per year out to sea. And what is being discussed is being able to capture that and put it into Grassy Waters for the city of West Palm Beach to consume. So my feeling about it is we go to the highest benefit, lowest cost alternatives first, and then if that doesn't return what we expected, then we move up the food chain, so to speak, with more costly proposals. But I certainly wouldn't go there first. And then I also would have some other questions I want in that proposal. Number one, what if they can't deliver water to us? What's the backup plan? I want to know what that is. Number two, if in fact they get the water and the water is coming from Lake Okeechobee, and during a drought they can't release water from Lake Okeechobee, where the water is going to come from. And number three, what happens in the case they go bankrupt? What happens to us? So I'd want to have all those answered if we were to move forward with them, but it wouldn't be my first priority to move forward with them.
You sure you're done? Okay. This is very interesting because, as a commissioner, I actually get to talk to all of the people that are the lobbyists that come before us and give us the information. So let me peel everything back and go to what actually is happening. So we have to do two things. We have to come up with a plan in the very near future that is for both short-term water and long-term water. And I'm pretty sure there's not a person in this room that wants to spend a lot of money for water, or have dirty water, or have water, or not enough water. Is there, just raise your hand. Anybody here want really expensive, dirty water that we can't get very often? Okay, so our first charge is short-term water. We have, as a commission, because this commission that we have currently is really awesome. We work very well together as a team, and we have asked for our own consultant. Last week, we put a tremendous amount of time and effort into interviewing consultants, and we have chosen a consultant that is not compromised at all. This is a consultant that never worked for the city, or Lake Point, or American Water, or the county, or Florida Crystals, which is another option for us for long-term water. So we are now in negotiations of working out the contract for this. This is a good way for us to learn about going into the future with nobody having, this is a consultant that doesn't have a dog in the fight. This is a consultant that's going to talk to the commission, hired for the commission, to explain to the commission what is exactly happening. This is a group of hydrologists and people that understand water better than anybody that we have working at the city to give us guidance moving into the future. Long-term water is a completely different situation. Right now, there are 3 options on the table, but who knows, there could be more. And they haven't actually started talking to us yet, so I don't know exactly how this is going to play out. Lake Point is one of the ideas. The water does not come from Lake Okeechobee. It comes from the rock pit, and it happens to be very good quality water. I've been there, I've seen it, I understand it. But it may not be the best option for us. Should it be the best option for us? We would own it. This is somebody, it doesn't matter if somebody goes bankrupt, because this would be a city-owned project. And what would be great about it is that we could sell water. Do you all realize that currently one of our best streams of revenue is that we sell water to the town of Palm Beach? The town of Palm Beach, for the most part, doesn't care how much the water is or how much they use. Most of their lawns we could play golf on. I don't want to tell them that we're not going to be able to provide water for them, and I certainly don't want to stop making money off of them. So when we are talking about long-term, I would like to be able to keep that stream of revenue open and perhaps sell it to other communities as well. Keeping in mind, in the back of your mind, that the town of Lake Worth has just spent $47 million on an RO plant that they're realizing is very expensive water. There may be an opportunity to sell water to other municipalities. There are other long-term projects that we can look at. C51 Canal, which is also known as Florida Crystals. What they want to do is, they have the same rock pit. Not in the same location, but the same situation. And what they want to do is they want to put together a consortium. Now, we haven't done so good with consortiums in our city. But they want to put together a consortium of as many municipalities as they possibly can. And we would be one straw in that pond. So we're going to have to look at that, and it's going to come down to how much water do we get, how cheap do we get it, how often do we get it, and how much competition do we have for capacity of water. The third thing that Mr. Weiss brought up was Indian Trails. That is only water available to us in a situation where there is a tremendous amount of water. Like the event we just had this last August. They didn't know what to do with that water. A lot of it did, eventually we did help them. We put pumps in, and we were good neighbors and helped them pump off some of that water. But it's not there every day. It's not an alternative for short-term water. It's just another opportunity for us. And we will be paying for it. It will not be cheap, and it will not be free. So we do need to make sure that we keep this commission together, this team of people that are all fighting in the same direction for you, the taxpayers of the city, to make sure that we are rolling our sleeves up and learning the right information and make decisions based on facts, not fiction. Thank you.
As a new resident to Florida, how long have you been the commissioner?
I have been a commissioner for 11 months.
Thank you.
Okay, there's another Democratic club in the city, in the northern part of the city, called United We Stand, and its president's here tonight, Jim Drayton, and he has a question. But I just thought I'd tell you who he is.
My question is not generated from my position on Together We Stand. It's an innocent question. I'd like to ask what's your last name?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you said.
Last name?
Materio.
Materio.
I think the mic is on.
It's on.
Okay. There we go. I'd like to ask the question that why do we need a consultant for corrections and a consultant apparently for administration. I don't know, you say that. Has it always been that way, or has it just turned?
Well, I understand. What he's asking me is, why do we need a consultant for just the commissioners? Is this correct? Tell me if I'm wrong. You said, why do we need a consultant for just the commissioners, and why do we need a consultant for the administration?
Why?
We don't, and we don't have that. We don't have a consultant for just the commissioners. What we also don't have is anybody on our staff that has an engineering degree that is specific to water. So we are as the policymakers, the commission needs to make policy and vote on what we are going to do with our short-term and long-term water. So instead of just going by staff recommendation, what we asked is for a professional consultant who does this all the time, all around the United States, to look at every possible situation. How many wells? Should we dig them? Are we going to affect the aquifer? There are so many different opportunities for us to think about when it comes to short-term water. We needed a consultant because that is not my background, and I believe there's not anybody on the commission currently that is a water, has water as a background or engineering. So we need a consultant so that we can give you the best choice.
Is that the best way to get information to give the best choice?
It's what the city's been doing for 100 years. They hire consultants.
Okay. There's one other question. That isn't, because they've been doing it, it's not acceptable answer. But anyway, I have another question. And that is, you said something in the original presentation that you don't mean 28 million individuals, whatever it was you were talking about. You mean 20 to each and every person. I'd like you to explain that.
I would. And first, let's go back to the consultant for a minute, okay? As on consultants, in order to be able, unless you would like us to hire, and see, that doesn't work so well for us. We don't have the opportunity, the money, or the means to hire experts in every single field that comes before us. Because you have to remember that on a regular day, we could be having a conversation and making a decision and a judgment call on an employment issue, on a land use issue, on water. So we rely on, as do all municipalities, consultants to help guide us to make good quality decisions for the taxpayers. That was the first thing. And $28 million was this total amount known, and I believe it would have probably been much higher. $28 million was the total amount known in the package that came before us. That did not include debt service on that $28 million. It did not include insurance for a highly volatile, pelletizers create methane gas, which is a highly volatile substance. They have accidents. It didn't include insurance, but we had to become self-insured to have one. And there are other things like cost overruns and engineering cost overruns. So $28 million is probably a very conservative price tag. And no, I don't mean every single person saved $28 million. It is throughout the county, but throughout the city. But I'm pretty sure everybody's happy to save it, right? You'd rather save 28 than spend it? Yes. Okay.
Yes, Greg, do you have a response to Mr. Drayton?
Yeah, I'd like to speak to Mr. Drayton's question as well. Hiring a consultant, and I think if you don't have the expertise, you need to look outside and look for that expertise. But I look at the process of how we went through it, and if the commission felt like they needed expertise, then I think that's the right thing to do. However, when you're working with something as technical and as scientific as hydrology and engineering involved in water and those sorts of things, I think it's important that you get advice or help from other people who understand what those consultants are talking about. I mean, I worked in technology for many years, and when we would go out and we would hire engineering consultant firms, we would bring our own engineers to the meetings to help us vet them. And so what I saw and what I thought was